Hi guys, this is an instructional video if you've chosen Recount as your preferred format. I want to start by emphasizing that you're on time to the blocks. If you arrive late, you have less time to complete the work. If you have a look at the practice sheet, you can see there are 15 examples of what you might be writing about. Keep in mind that during the official practice and the official final timed writing block, your topics are not on this list. They'll be shown to you at the very start, so you'll have to allow some time for planning. You have 3 to choose from during the official practice and final block, and when you decide which of the 3 you want to write on, you have to open a word processor, like Pages or Word. There are 4 things you need to write at the top of the page. These are your SACE number, your full name, your preferred format, which is Recount, and the topic that you've chosen to write about. A recount is partially a creative piece, so there aren't a lot of rules to the structure, but there are a few important things to keep in mind. As a recount is something that's happened to you in the past, it'll be written in past tense, and as it has happened to you, it will be written in first person. You also need to keep in mind the word count. This is an 800 word piece, so you can write between 720 and 880 words. It has to be a full recount or a full story that you're delivering, which means an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. I don't want you to write a story that you have to end in the middle because you've run out of words, and I don't want you to write a story that finishes at 400 words and you've got nothing left to tell me. So keep in mind that you're going to have enough to talk about. It is a better option to have a big story that you can edit things out of than a little story that you have to make things up about. A recount for the most part should be in chronological order. That means the order of events. However, you can be a little creative at the start to try and get the audience's attention. Another thing to keep in mind with your recount, being a creative piece, means you don't have to follow all rules of grammar. You can have short sentence fragments and long run-on sentences to help get the flow of your story. It's also okay to start sentences with and or but in this instance. As my example unfolds on the screen, I want you to take note of my paragraphs. I don't do them for no good reason. They are each an event in my recount. So if I wake up, that is one paragraph. If I leave the house, that is another. Each of them is a plot point along my story. There are a few particular things I'll be looking for in your recount. One is a simile. I want at least one of these. These are a way of making a comparison. You'll know you've made a simile if you've used a word similar to like or as. For example, it was as warm as an oven, or I felt like a hero. These are both similes, but I hope you come up with some more creative ones of your own. I'd also like some metaphors, at least one if you can. These are very close to similes, but they are literal comparisons. They seem like lies, but you're trying to make a point. If you say, it was an oven, when it wasn't really, but you're trying to say that it's very hot. If you say, I was a hero, well, you weren't a superhero, but you felt like one, and you're trying to make a point. I also want you to use dialogue somewhere. I'll know you use this correctly because you would have used the quotation marks. You also have the option, as I've mentioned before, of using internal dialogue. You use this with italics to show that somebody's thinking something rather than saying it out loud. I'd also like to see descriptive language. This is something you might like to do towards the end. If you just want to get the words on the page and go back and see if you can add in adjectives later, that's fine. Really try and envelope me in the story though. Describe the setting, the people, the feelings, as much as you can to really engage the reader. Always keep an eye on the word count, and when you think you've reached the end of your time or words, make sure you go back and review for any spelling mistakes or grammar, or simply any style changes you wish to make. At the very end, I'd like you to write the word count at the bottom, and then you're done.